And I totally said today was gonna be a Zelda day, huh? I said that. I am having a bit of a hard morning. So we're gonna play some Minecraft. And I feel very weird because I don't have my headphones. I don't have my headphones. It makes me feel weird. Because I feel like I can hear myself. And I don't like that. I feel like I'm probably gonna end up talking quieter today. Because of that. Oh, you know what? I'm totally gonna get kicked out if I... Yeah, because I'm gonna do this. And then it's gonna... Yeah. And then Minecraft's gonna be a bitch about it. But I need a wool farm template. And I'm pretty sure it's easy. I just need... some glass. If I play this tutorial, is it gonna... Okay. Let's do this. We're gonna have to collect some iron, I think. I think I'm running a little low. Because we need like a hopper minecart and shit like that. That's fine. Okay, let's see how much iron I have. Okay. I'm going to need... I have chests in here. And that's exactly how many chests I need, so that's good. Okay, so 16 chests. Let's see. Oh wait, I need double that. I need... What's 16 times 2? 32? Hello. I think it's 32. Okay, observer. We're gonna need 16 observers, 16 hoppers, 16 dispensers, a ton and a half of shears. But I think I'll just make as many shears as I have iron left over. And then glass. Okay. Plenty of glass, I think. 7 times 16. I don't know how to math. Why is this making me math? Yeah, I need more glass. Don't have any sand. I have 1 sandstone. Is that correct? That might be correct. Okay. Well, I can get more sand. Okay, I have 30 iron. So I need to make 16 hoppers. I can make 6 hoppers. Oh, and that's gonna use chests too. That's okay. We'll do this first. Okay. Let's go collect more. Let's go find more iron. I'm in a cave. I'm in a big old cave. I can find iron. I can find iron in here. It's nighttime, that's fine. go find some iron. There's no iron in here. I'm gonna be sad. Copper. Oh, you know what I should bring? I should bring torches. That would be smart. That would be really smart. Am I really smart? No. No, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm... No, I would absolutely say I'm dumb, but I'm not supposed to say that, so... Listen, my mommy says I'm not supposed to call myself dumb. And I have to listen to my mommy. She pays for my food. She's the one who feeds me. My dad says I can call myself dumb, though. In fact, I think he encourages it. And he also pays for my food. So what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do with that information? Two parents. Different, Ooh, iron. Yeah. You know. Do I call myself dumb and upset my mom but please my dad? Or do I guess it depends on how I'm saying it. Because if I'm saying it like for real I think I'm dumb, then my dad might get upset, actually. But if I'm just like, oh... Okay, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We put the torches. We put the torches, and then the zombies don't get me. And the zombies don't get me. Please don't get me. I don't want to be God. Okay. I haven't explored this area much, apparently. It's so dark over here. Gotta get more coal. Gotta get more coal. Mining for coal. Alright. I need to figure out how big of a space I'm gonna need for all of these sheeps. For all these wool. I think it would be good because I'm gonna be like the wool salesman, right? To do double-sided wool farm. And then I can make sure my shop is stocked all the times. Every times. Uh-oh, hello. Ah. Die. Die, Skelly. No, Skelly. I don't want Skelly. Oh, that's the wrong one. Whoops. That's the wrong one. I used the wrong pickaxe. I used the wrong pickaxe. I used the wrong one. Okay. Did I turn the music down again? Because for whatever reason, when I'm playing on my own, it's like really loud. And when I'm playing on stream, the music is like really quiet. And I can't hear it. And I like the Minecraft music. It's nice. It's very nice. Very nice and cozy. Ah, look at this. Look at this. Ravine. Ooh! Die. Alright. Some lapis. Hello, lapis. You're not what I'm looking for, but I'll take it. I don't need this in my inventory. Emerald? I don't see any emerald. There's a lot of green. It's just moss, probably. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for sure. There's some coal up here. Yeah, it could have been glowberries or vines or lichen or moss. There's a lot of green in these caves. I don't want to go down there. I don't really know how to get back up if I go down there. I'm gonna do it anyways. Yay! Oh, okay. I think I kind of know where I am. It's dark down here. As long as it's not deep dark, I'm fine. I'm okay with dark. I'm just not okay with deep dark. Deep dark is too much. Deep dark is a lot. Why is it so quiet? Right? Like, I'm freaking out a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a teeny tiny bit. I'm not used to not having my headphones on as well, so I may be a little more spooked than usual. It's a little spooky. It's a little redstone. I'm gonna need some of that. Oh. Oh. I mean, that would be a good place to look for iron. In fact, I think I see some over there. Do you have the realm invite link so I can see if I'm whitelisted? It's like an invite thing. Like, you should get a notification when you're invited. And also, did you put your username in the Empire's chat? Did you join the Blacking crew? Oh, hey. Then it'll get gotten to eventually. You did that last week. Hey, Kenj. Yeah, I don't think there's a link for it. I think there's like an invite thing. You have to be like invited, and then you'll get a notification. Maybe that was dumb. It's fine. Oh, there's the music. Hello. Kenj, you brought the music with you. Oh. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, you're the music man. Oh, do I have a full stack of lapis already? I can get rid of the moss. Lapis is useful. Man, there's so much lapis. Don't need diorite. Did I say like MatPat? I don't know if I can do a MatPat impression. Oh, it's light up. Wow, you can see outside the cave right there. I'm looking at the scenery. Excuse me. You're very rude. Yeah, you're very rude. I gotta go up there and light it up. I don't have a lot of blocks to get up there. I have water. You're a little terrified that your iron farm stopped working? Why would your iron farm stop working? You're literally in cave full of blocks. Yeah, I know, but I don't wanna... Dude, this skeleton's playing King of the Hill. Skeleton needs to chill the fuck out. Mesa glitches the day-night cycle when it rains. I wonder. Weird weather, and I have had no iron produced? Oh no. Hey! Ah! Bro, can you not? Oh, I'm gonna die. Please don't kill me. I would like to live. I don't know where I am. I just wanted to light that area up, and now it's like a huge hassle. Ooh, I have a shitty bow. Ah. That's what you deserve. Can I get this guy? Oh, he went down there. Alright. That's probably good enough. Could be bug rock. Yeah, could be bug rock. Alright. Ah, I knew there would be iron up here. Ooh, there's a nice bit of iron up here. Oh, did he break my armor? No. Whew. Oh, I was about to say, what the fuck? Nothing's broken my armor, ever. I put mending on it recently. Alright. There's a nice big iron vein right here. Let me just... Oh, I ran out of arrows. Oh well. Can I hit you now? Haha. Get out of my way. Oh, I broke a torch. That's not good. That's not good. Like, okay. Where'd it come out? Oh, hello. Okay, found a new place to light up. Okay. Can I please? Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Any iron? Any iron over here? Any iron over here? Because that's the one thing that's like keeping me from building this wool farm right now. Is the iron. The iron mouse. The iron mouse. Alright. Boop, boop, boop. I have this song stuck in my head that I started listening to the other day. So if you're wondering what I'm humming, it's that. It's One Man Circus by Madeline May. I think that's their name. It's very non-binary coded. Burnt out creative coded. Non-binary burnt out creative sounds about right. Is there water there? I literally cannot see. Hmm. Whee! Can't catch me, can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man. Ah! Baby catch me, I'm not as good as the gingerbread man. Be a really funny username for like a parkour master. Minecraft speedrunner. It's a gingerbread man. Over here, please. I would like to. Thank you. As you can see, I'm not the gingerbread man. I am not a parkour master. Or am I? No. Unfortunately. Oh my gosh, how many creepers are over here? Can you not, please? Okay. Okay. We're gonna not today. We're gonna not today. How many creepers? Enough. Wow, I'm getting some lag today. I'm the only one on the server. Bro, you are so annoying. I just want on this stupid hill. You guys start attacking each other, please. Why? Ow. Can I go home now? I don't know where home is the problem with that. Bro. Can I just regen my health for a second? Jeez. Alright. Ow. Ow. Stop it. Leave me alone. I just want some here. Did I run out of torches? Dang it. I can't light that place up. Okay, well that's fine. It's okay. I'm never gonna come back here again anyways, so whoa. Leave me alone! Leave me alone. I'm just a baby. I'm just a baby. I'm just a baby with full diamond armor. Full enchanted diamond armor. But, you know, just a baby. I don't have any torches. Anything. No. Just checking for iron. I'm just checking for iron. And I'm out of here. I'm out of here. How do I get home? How do I get home? I don't know. I don't know at all. I don't know how to get home from here. I don't know where I am. That's fine. I'm sure if I just followed torches, I should be fine. This, maybe, is a place. Oh! Really? Okay. Yatta! I was right here the whole time! I think I need a nap. Oh yeah, once again, a reminder that we have... Did I turn it back on? We have random karaoke now, so you use your channel points, make me sing a random song. And maybe it'll work and maybe it won't. I don't know. Try it out. Try it out when I'm fighting creepers, and now suddenly I have to sing and fight creepers. Very funny. I need a proper place for my lapis. I need a new spot. I need a new spot for my lapis. I need an enchanting room at some point. The random karaoke does have a 10-minute cooldown. So once a song starts, another one cannot be started for 10 minutes. But that's not very long. I just wanted to be sure that whatever songs I put in there would be completed. Where did I put coal into? Give potato. I'm just gonna use... I know I can use lava, but I want to get these started. And now I can collect lava. Oh, I can put arrows in my offhand. What's going on? Alright. Now I gotta wait. Because I have more... I have more things than... Yeah. You know, the thing with the stuff. I don't need to make more torches because I have plenty in there. So that's fine. It happens sometimes. Is fire tick off on the server? I don't know. I don't know. I may accidentally burn down everything. Look at all this copper I have that I'm not even gonna use. Iron bars. Can I put iron bars somewhere else? Why don't you go in here? Oh, I do have a bunch of shears. Okay, that's cool. Get some of this iron. Tens across the board. Okay. Collect all the iron. Collect all the iron. Then we're gonna make a bunch of hoppers. Make a bunch of hoppers. I need 16 hoppers. 16 hoppers. And then I need a bunch of other shit. observers and dispensers. Now I have 16 hoppers. Now I need a bunch of chests. I need all the chests I can make. I guess I'm gonna make them out of a bunch of random shit. Gonna make a bunch of chests. Gonna make them just like this. I still need way more chests. I don't have plans for pale oak or cherry, but I feel like I'm more likely to use the cherry, so I'm gonna use it for the pale oak. Ooh, I don't think I'm gonna use mangrove. So I can make more chests. I can make more chests. And I still don't have enough chests. Because I need 2 times 16 is like 32. I know the caterpillar song. Does anyone actually know what I'm talking about when I say that? Okay, fine. Okay. Was this a My Family thing? It might have been a My Family thing. There was this song in our family that we called the caterpillar song, and it taught multiples of 2 basically. Well, yeah. So it'd be like 1 and 1 is 2. 2 and 2 is 4. 4 and 4 are 8. 16 and 16 are 32. 8 and 8 are 16. 16 and 16 are 32. And I don't know why it was called the caterpillar song, but it was. And yet somehow I'm still bad at math. I swear this was a real thing. Maybe when Moxie gets in here, she'll remember. She'll remember the caterpillar song. Okay. I need more observers. Observers need quartz. I have a little bit of quartz. Do I have any other quartz anywhere? I have a little bit. Oh, and cobblestone. I know I have cobblestone. Alright. I have 14. I need 16. Perfect. Okay. Now I need a dispenser. I need bows. Okay, bows. Do I have any sticks? Great. Do I have any string? Kinda. I'm gonna need 16 dispensers. Four. I could go grab some. Maybe I can go grab some shitty bows from Kenj, from the skeleton farm. Maybe. What are you doing in here? My organization is terrible. Where am I keeping andesite? Andesite's here. Alright. Get them shitty bows. Let's go! I got permission! It's not like they're gonna be used for anything else. They're pretty much just gonna be thrown away, so. won't take any of the ones with enchantments on them. Just in case you want them. Because also crafting with enchanted bows seems silly. That's very silly. That's a very silly thing to do. I hear that Blackfoot may be streaming Minecraft today with their voice chat open. Very, very fun. Very cool. I should probably make a PNG tuber in case they want that. Put me on their streams. I could make a little gremlin one. I could make that in like 3 seconds. I bet I could animate it. I wonder if I can. I wonder... I've got the ones I want. Honestly, enchanted bows are also Garbo at a level. I have given up on... Yeah, it is a shame. I've given up on... Yeah, look at all these dead bows. What are they gonna be used for? I gotta call out today, boss. Oh no. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I don't have a... Done a stupid. Oh, I don't need... I have a bunch of... I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need these. Six, 8. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come back. I'm gonna come back. Cause I did a silly. Anyways, I'm giving up on going to college this semester. is what I've been trying to say. I started too late. I started like way too late because I got sick. Which delayed a whole bunch of stuff, and I missed the enrollment deadline, and by the time that I did get enrolled and all of the issues solved there, the classes that I'm actually supposed to be taking this semester are not available. So, yeah. I wrote out a plan with all of the classes that I actually need to be taking, but it's really annoying because it's sort of a, you know, fall, spring plan, but now it's a spring, fall plan. And it's just gonna kind of delay things a little bit, and I'm just being I don't want to take classes just for the sake of it, because it's kind of expensive. Not as expensive as real college, but you know, still kind of expensive. So okay, let's put... We know we have enough of these. I need more glass. I can get more glass really easily, though. Okay. I need... Yeah. What else do you need? Oh, redstone. Ew. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, have 6. We need 10 more. What around? Oh, I'm being stupid. 12. That's fine. Okay. Let's go. Why am I carrying dye around? I mean, I know why, but like, stop it. Get some help. But yeah. I think Black was on the fence about whether they would do Minecraft or Vibey Wednesday today. Although I think Minecraft is very vibey, so still fits, still fits. Still fits. But yeah, I should draw myself a little like 3-second doodle PNG tuber. Little gremlin. Need to open PNG tuber commissions. Ooh, that'd be cool. Get a little PNG tuber by Kanj. Profile pics are not a hot commodity. I don't know how much you'd get from PNG tubers either. What? Sorry, you can hear my terribly squeaky chair. Subscribe so I can get a new chair. Okay, can I... Do I just have to do it one at a time? That's not a dispenser. Okay. Dispenser. Dispenser. Oh, I made 17. Whoops. Well, that's fine. Wait, I can make 99 rails? Oh, right, because it's 16 at a time. Oh, well, I only need 16. Okay. Let's go. Let's go do the thing. Let's go do the thing. Okay. Okay. I have to figure out how big the room needs to be as well. Man, Minecraft, where's the music today? Minecraft just said, no, quiet time. I guess that's okay. Quiet time is nice. We can talk about our feelings. I don't know what I'm doing today. I don't know what I'm doing today, chat. I'm having a time. What am I doing? I'm gathering materials. I need my... Where did I get this stupid leather helmet from? Get. Arrows. I'll save up arrows. I'll give them to Black later. Okay. Do I have a potato? I don't have a potato. I don't have a potato chest. Or a potato. I thought I had a food chest. Yeah. Put the potatoes here. Baked potato. For now. I will put iron. Iron can go in here. For now. Because I need to make sure I have all my materials. Which I know I need more glass. So, I need 32 chests, 16 observers, 16 dispensers, 16 hoppers, shears, which I have 112 glass. Is nearly 2 stacks. Nearly 2 stacks, I think. 16 minecart, 16 rails. I need hopper minecarts. I need 16 hopper minecarts. 16 hopper minecarts, which means I need another 16 hoppers. Yeah, 2 stacks is 128. I got there. I math slow, but I did it. All by myself. I'm big boy. I can do big boy math. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Don't listen to me. I need more iron. I just wanted to confirm. Yeah. I want to go find more iron. You were seeing. Thank you. I feel very seen. Alright, I need... Yeah. And then... I may need to get more wood as well. Of whatever type I can get. Alright, I guess we're going out to get more iron. Now I know that that area is right near me. I can go over there. It's literally right up there. And it's pretty much unexplored as far as I can tell. There's also another area that I could go to that I know is unmined. The problem is that it's under my farm. So it's kind of hard to get to right now. I haven't explored too much. That's okay. Okay, why are we placing double torches? That's a little annoying. That area over there looks pretty promising. I think it loops around and connects to my trading hall. Oh, cool. There's some right here. Oop. Need some water. Ah. Okay. Well, I would like to not drown today. Thank you. Okay. Get that iron. It doesn't quite go all the way up. I thought it did, but it doesn't. Let's figure this out. Oh, hello, tropical fish. The chimes. This is a good song. I like it. Remember what I taught you, Quasimodo. You are deformed. Holy shit, dude. Like, I know he's a villain, but like, damn. Just being like, you're ugly. Remember what I've taught you from birth. You are ugly. You're an ugly bitch, and nobody will ever love you. It's like, yeah, bro, what the fuck? What the fuck, bro? That's fucked up. Did I go down there? I don't really want to go all the way down there.
Okay, put a little torch to light it up. Get it all lit up. And go this way. We go this way. Okay.
Torch. Hey! You suck. Look at all this iron. Look at all this iron I found. Wow. Wow, it keeps going. It's still going. Wow. This is a lot of iron. Wow, look at that. I still haven't figured out how to go up. Bro, where? You suck. Just out here living my life. You're shooting at me for no reason. Just trying to get up this freaking cave, man. Leave me alone. Alright. Oh, hello. I don't want to deal with zombie villager. Not really. Oh, but there's a whole bunch of them there. Hmm. One of them's a farmer. One of them has a workstation somewhere. Maybe? I don't know. Do they spawn with jobs sometimes? I don't know how zombie villagers work. Do I want to deal with you? I know they'll be very grateful if I do. No. I'm putting them out of their misery. Sorry, guys. Ooh, carrots. Start a carrot farm. I don't know if anyone has carrots yet. I mean, like as a resource. As a trading source, I guess. I might do that. Because I have potatoes. I have potatoes as well. And potatoes and carrots are kind of go together, you know? Make a good soup. Man, Moxie makes this root vegetable soup that is basically like pureed vegetables, and it's so good and like thick, and we usually have it with like chicken and stuff. It's so good. I don't know what kind of crack she puts in there, but like it's good shit. She usually makes it for like holidays and stuff. Hello. Hello. Just, yep. Uh-huh. Goodbye. Say goodbye. Jeez. These guys are rude. Don't want to leave the party. Alright, well, I went all the way up here and there's like nothing here, so. What? What? Oh. Bro. Okay. Do I have enough iron now? I don't know. I don't know. Never enough iron. I don't really want to make an iron farm because that's like a lot of work. Alright, well, we'll spot this up. We'll see. We shall see. We shall see. I'm gonna do something up here. I don't know what yet. But something. Okay, let me take this carrot. And I'm gonna put it here. Look at my beautiful potatoes. I love them so much. My potatoes. Actually, having a monopoly on carrots might be really good. Because golden carrots. Mm. Hmm. Might be good. Might be good to have. You gonna fill? You gonna fill up? Potato. I'm almost done. I'm almost done with The Hobbit. I'm almost done listening to The Hobbit. I was doing some sewing yesterday and Monday, and just like listening to The Hobbit. It was so like cozy and nice. Yeah, it's very cozy. Nice to listen to while doing a project. I was thinking it'd be really fun to do some days, like if I'm having like a low energy day, just to have like a book in the background. I'd have to DMCA it like I do my music on drawing days. But I feel like sometimes it would be nice. You know? Okay, I need one more hopper. I need one more hopper. And then I can start making mine carts. Okay. And then I need to make 16 mine carts. Oh, why would I want that? I'm just gonna sit here. I need trapdoors. How many trapdoors? Kind. I don't know if I need trapdoors. I think that's just to make it look neater. I think it's for aesthetics. Gosh, that's right. Ugh. Minecarts don't stack. I was putting flint somewhere. Where was I putting flint? Am I getting rid of it? Do I have like a gravel flint? Roar. So putting it with the dripstone? Where was I putting flint? I don't know. Maybe I got rid of all my flint because I wasn't really using it. All right, that's okay. All right. That goes there. Wheat seeds go in here. Alright. Clay. Buckets can go in here. How many minecarts can I make? Not enough. uh, I have a mom. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Put these in here. Grab these. No! Why would it do that to me? Okay. You can go in here, I guess. It shifted where things were in the crafting menu. So instead of making a minecart, I made a chest minecart. Which just means I need to go collect more stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. I need more iron. Alright, let's keep looking for. Why don't I maybe I'll find some iron, maybe I'll find some iron when I'm digging this area out. I've got this little area that I've started digging out. And what I think I want to do is I want to put the door like here. See, look, there we go. I got one from that. And I think I'm gonna bring these walls back down. And the door will be like here where the or here. No, the door will be here. And then yeah. Hollow it out. Give me. They have my stone. Yeah, I need that. Alright. Oh. Mm. Maybe I do need this to be open. Because this whole, yeah, okay. That's fine. I'm gonna make this look less man-made. And then how much space do I need? If the... What did I just get pushed by? A sheep? That was weird. That way? Because I feel like if I keep going that way, I'm gonna run into... Maybe not. Maybe I'm above it at this point. Stupid slimes. I don't know how to slime, but they're really getting on my nerves. I have to make a slime church, huh? To slime proof? Is that how you do it? I don't know. I don't really want to make a slime church. Okay, so I need... God, this stupid chair is so squeaky. Sorry. Rest in peace, headphone users. Alright, how do I want to do this? I want to make this more hidden, but I do want... it to be... Maybe just like adding a little bit of a curve here kind of would help. Make it a little less obvious. And then I'll put a little door there. And in here will be the room, which will be... three times 48 blocks. So 24 on each side. Which which makes it another 2x2 room. Unless I want 16 colors. And then I that's 4. So this is 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay. And then again on this side. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And then it needs to be another 3. Each one is like a 3x3 cube. But I kind of want like some space in front of it. Can they get through that? I don't think so. Just put that there just in case. Oh, do I want to do it this way instead, actually? Maybe. Oh, look at this. Look at this nice big iron vein here. I think I do want it to be like a long hallway instead of what I was doing. Because I think it'll look better if it's like this. Which means I just need to count 48. This way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, torch here. Like this iron. I'm gonna collect this iron too. He's not being very lucky. Okay. 5, 6, 27, 28, 29, 31, 32, 33, 34, 5, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 6, 47, 48. Okay, now we're gonna go back the other way. And luckily, I don't have to count this time. I can just zone out and mine forever. It is you know, it is called Minecraft. We do be mining. And then, so on each... I'll make that more attractive later. On each side here, on each side of the hallway here, because I'm gonna have another 3 wide. We yearn for the mines, indeed. So, 2, 3. And then on this side as well. 2, 3. Alright. And then we gotta break this ceiling so that it doesn't feel quite so claustrophobic. I do kind of want some kind of arc in here. Arch? I don't know, words. That's one of those words that always trips me up. Arc versus arch. Because I feel like they're the same thing, kinda. But not. I don't know. Like, arc is like when you're talking about arrows, right? But like, arch is like architecture? Which has arc in it, so I don't know. I don't know. I don't make these rules. I don't make the rules. I put a lot of Crane Wives in the random karaoke playlist. So there's probably like at least a 50% chance that the song is gonna be Crane Wives. But there's also a lot of random shit in there too. Like, there's one Paramore song. It's like karaoke gotcha. And then as I learn more songs, of course, I can add more basically whenever I want, as long as I can find. Arc and Arch need to just figure their shit out. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There's also some Disney songs in there, which one of my friends has been a little bit of a pest about Disney lately. It's really annoying me. Because I'm not like a Disney adult TM, but I am kind of a Disney adult, you know? Like, I'm not gonna be rude, I'm not gonna be obsessive about it, right? But, I mean, if, you know, if I was to have the money to go, I would go. Right? Like, without a second thought, that's my vacation spot. That's where I want to go. I don't really want to go anywhere else. That's not entirely true. I do want to, you know, like, go other places, but like, Disney is very, like, safe to me. And I'm just being kind of a pest about it. Like, yeah, I know the company's not great, but like, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, and this is my childhood. Alright. Let me have fun. I called him out on it too. Whenever they're being a jerk about it. The Disney adult TM can be rabid. Yeah, exactly. I'm not like that. I just enjoy. I grew up on Disney stuff, and I enjoy Disney stuff. And I may have, you know, a few tchotchkes around my house. And you don't get to scoff at my special interest. It's what I'm saying. My dad and I are actually thinking about when we want to go next. Cause so in, like, was it 2020? Very quickly into COVID. I don't remember if it was 2020 or what. My stepmom passed. Which is very sad. And Disney was kind of like her and my dad's place, and so we hadn't gone in a really long time. And then we recently took a trip. We took a train trip down there. We took the train to Disney. And it was awesome. And, like, preferred method of going to Disney, right there. Absolutely. It was great. The only real problem I had is that their bathrooms weren't very plus size friendly, but that's fine. Like, it's a train. I'm not gonna like expect the world, right? But it was very nice, and we got to like sit in the observation car and do that, but it was our first time back in like 4 or 5 years. And as soon as we got there, Dad was already planning our planning our next trip back. I love it there. I have never experienced an in-show exit, and I would like to. If you guys don't know, an in-show exit is when they evacuate a ride because something went wrong. But sometimes they like turn on the work lights, and in those dark rides especially, you can see a lot of like how it works. And that's what I really like about going to Disneyland, is like trying to figure out how everything works. I like seeing the mechanics of it, you know? But there's also, you know, the nostalgia, and the food is pretty good. For the most part. You know, if you sometimes you find stuff that's like, eh, but sometimes you find stuff that's really good. We went to this like really fancy restaurant. If you were in the Blecking crew last year, you may have seen my posts about the really fancy restaurant that we went to there. It was so good. They had this like garlic herb focaccia or something, and it was so good. And then they had this tomato spread to put on it, and when I tell you it tasted like delicious pizza, it was awesome. The animatronics are powered by the souls of abandoned children. No, that's just Small World. That's just Small World. I'm gonna get copyright struck if I keep singing that. The Disney lawyers are gonna come after me. I'm gonna do one Disney karaoke and they're gonna be like, no, ban Hammer. Do not. Yeah. Your source may have been a little confused there. Sources, just trust me, bro. I've never been to Disney because my parents didn't love me enough. Oh my god. You should go, it's fun. Especially, you know, since you're into like animation and stuff. I think like there's this one like drawing, there's the like animation studio and you can learn to draw different Disney characters. And the last time we went, I wanted so badly to do the Oswald one, but we couldn't do it because it was like after our train was supposed to leave and we were heading out, and I was like, no, they have Oswald. My boy. I freaking love Oswald. Like, that's my boy. I need to play Epic Mickey on here. That'd be fun. That'd be a fun series to do because they recently put them on Steam. And I think that would be a fun series to do. The Epic Mickey stuff. Because they're really good games. I'm not good at them, but I'm not good at any game, so, you know. I'm just not good at games. You know? I'm just not good at games. No, I just don't have the money. Yeah. Oh, your kitty hates people. Kitty said, don't leave. Do not leave me. That's very funny. But yeah, it is ridiculously expensive, and the only reason that like my dad and I can go is because he's, you know, he's a Gen X programmer and has been programming since it was available to him. So yeah. Like, I think he started in basic or something. So yeah, it's just because he was here with the technology boom and doesn't have to pay for 4 kids anymore. She gives great snuggles too. I miss her so much. Yeah, I definitely miss my cats when I'm at my dad's house or when we go somewhere. But then I come back and I realize how annoying they are. No. No, I love them. I love my babies. Opal yesterday was like very sick yesterday. I'm kind of concerned about her because she was like throwing up, and she's not the barfy cat. Nimbus is the barfy cat with all of her fluff. Um, but yeah, yesterday Opal was the barfy cat, so we're keeping an eye on her. Okay. Let's fill in this a little bit. I'm probably gonna shift this over. Yeah. Just kind of one at a time. There we go. All right. That's good. And then yeah. Oh, can you back up? Thank you. In the way. Just fill in this wall so no mobs can spawn behind it. And then kind of want to make this look cavey. I don't know if that's yeah, like that. That's fine. I have so much stone right now that I just hey, I have so much stone right now. Do you? Do you have so much stone right now? No. Because I started using my other pickaxe. Alright, that's fine. I can go get some. Where's my stone? There we go. That should be plenty. That should be plenty. Why don't you have... Did I run out of lanterns when I was building this one? I think I wasn't sure on the placement, maybe. But, yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And then just kind of do that. Yeah, and then some doors there, I think. Alright. And then gonna do this side as well. Gotta do this side as well. This is gonna take forever. Last night I was really sad and like disappointed in myself because I didn't because I'm not starting classes until next semester. And so I was really upset and like disappointed in myself. I had this massive headache. that would not go away no matter what I did. Like, I took Advil, I was drinking water. Like, this headache just did not want to go away. And so I ordered myself an entire pie. I got real food too. I got a burger from Five Guys, but like I ordered myself an entire pie. And then I was like, man, I don't know how to put away this pie so that, because we have kind of like, we have a lot of ants in our house right now. And I was like, I don't know how to put away this pie where the ants won't get it. And my mom was like, well, you're probably gonna have to label it and put it in the downstairs fridge. And I was like, but I don't want everyone to know that I have it. And I was just being such a huge pain in the ass, but it's fine. So far, nobody's asked me to have any. I offered some to my mom and my grandma because they deserve it. But nobody else has asked for any. And I would probably say yes. If they wanted some. But, you know, they didn't. My birthday is coming up. Someone else's birthday is coming up. Kat's birthday is coming up. It's this weekend, I think. But yeah, my birthday's in like a month. But Kat's birthday is this weekend, so that's exciting. I think we're gonna go do something, but she hasn't made up her mind about what she wants to do. Which is fine. She'll figure it out. But I'm not quite sure what we're doing. But yeah, for my birthday, we're gonna go do pottery painting. It's gonna be very fun for my sort of like family birthday party. Because I offered it to my friends and they were like, meh. But my family was like, yeah, that sounds fun. So for my friends, Penny's gonna DM a special birthday game. Maybe I can get my dad to like maybe we can do it at Victory Point. That'd be fun. I think my birthday's on a Thursday this year. So that would work out pretty well because we usually play on Thursdays. I should check. Let's see. What day of the week is October 9th? It's a Thursday! So I'm gonna have a stream on my birthday. Maybe we should do something special that day. Special birthday stream on Thursday? Maybe I'll make it a little longer. Could do special birthday things. Because if I go until like, if I have a special birthday stream and I go until like, if I take up Blex time slot as well, maybe. They don't stream on Thursdays, but if I went until like 3, and then we usually play D&D around 4, so that would give me enough time, I think. Maybe I would go until like 2, maybe just like a little bit longer. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll think about what I have energy for. But I'm gonna probably do a Jackbox stream on that day. Oh yeah, October 9th. Mark your calendars. It's my birthday. You gotta be here. You gotta be here. What if I did a countdown to midnight stream? That'd be terrible. I go to bed at like 9. My bedtime is 9. I don't know if I could do that. It'd be fun though. but I also don't want to be exhausted on my birthday. But like nothing's really happening except for like D&D later, because we're gonna celebrate on Sunday. I'm spaced out thinking about my birthday. It's fun. I like my birthday. All of the party stuff is distracting me. So I don't think about bad things. You know, unus annus, memento mori, all that stuff. You know. Almost done. Gotta go replenish my tools again. I'm trying to think about... Maybe I should make the whole floor grass. Just in case. Because I don't want to... I don't want to accidentally run out of grass. Will path blocks? Like, if I make a path in the middle, is that gonna do weird stuff? I don't know. We're at least gonna get... That's what I was worried about. Gotta put stone under here or something. Because a lot of this is gonna be the ceiling. The other side of this. The floor is grass is the low stakes version of the floor is lava. Unless you have a severe grass allergy. Then it's still high stakes. It may be kind of tricky to do some of these because of the it'll be fine. I'll figure it out. Maybe we'll build these backwards. Oh man, I built another slime area. Then it's hard mode. Don't touch the grass. Or if you were a balloon. If you're a balloon, you can't touch grass because it'll pop. Balloons can't touch grass. And they explode. The explosion. That really sucked. If your balloon exploded like that. I found more iron. Yatta! It's a big one. A lot of iron. No, I want the iron. I don't want the stinky diorite. Yatta! Hi, Luke. I like that you guys are starting to associate me with that. I stole it from my friend. Balloons are the internet trolls of the party decor world. Yes. Uh-huh. That makes sense. Oh, I saw the purple of the nether portal through the door and I was like, what the fuck is that? I just like could not discern. I want to use glass or do I want to use fences? Because I bet I could use fences too. Maybe, I think I do want to use glass. I like being able to see the sheep. I guess if I use fences, I don't have to do it 2 blocks high. I don't really know why it is 2 blocks high. And fences would make it prettier. We definitely want prettier. Something to think about, I think. Something to think about. That can stay, because that's dirt. That's dirt. Why is there a missing block there? Okay. Speaking of dirt, I need some dirt. And I need to take a little break. So I will be right back. I keep getting tripped out because I don't have my headphones. So I'm like, I need to put on my... Oh, wait. I can't. I mean, I do have my headphones, but, it's kind of a thing. Oh, it's broken. I don't have a cable for my headphones, and my computer's Bluetooth has been broken lately. And I don't know how to fix it. So I've just been ignoring it. That's how I'm solving that problem. It's really warm in here. Because I closed the windows to make sure there's no noise. But now it's extra warm. Extra warm. A worm? A worm? A worm? Spruce fence gate, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Alrighty. There we go. So warm. So warm. What am I doing? What, who, ha, ha, huh, huh, huh? What am I doing with my life? I need redstone. Right. Okay. So we have that. We have all these minecarts. We need redstone, dust, and I need a bunch of dirt. Alright. Let's go. A bunch of dirt and like one grass. Which is what I was doing. You guys are all huddled up in the same spot. Jesus. Alright, take my grass block and I'm gonna put it right here. Just so we have a start. And it'll start spreading out. Oh, it scared the crap out of me. That was so loud. Jeepers. Alright then. That was really loud. I need more dirt. That's okay, I have more dirt. Oh no, we're good. Thunder! Wait, what? Why did I run into a wall if... Huh? I probably am gonna need more dirt. All this up. So it's out of the way. Go put it in the... Yeah, I don't have any more dirt. Okay, more dirt. More dirt. Still have a pile left from my breakfast. Wow. You won't get me again, Thunder. Andesite, granite, diorite, clay. Wow. I see my reputation precedes me. I will probably forget about the thunder. Yeah. You didn't see that. Nothing happened. Don't worry about it. I definitely didn't get startled by the thunder again. Because I was focused on placing dirt. I'm Blackwood. I'm getting startled by Minecraft thunder. I mean, no, I'm not. You didn't see anything. I am become awake. Welcome. How and also D indeed. Now we wait. We got one. Kenshin Luga check it thunder. Luke was in fact correct. I totally didn't. I don't know what you're talking about. Dirt. And a slide. I need more spruce. Again. I don't really want to go to the surface. I do need to make... I do need to grow spruce, but... Sorry. Okay. Oh. Okay. Well, that gives me time to throw together a PNG tuber for you anyways. Sorry you can't stream today, though. I wish we could get proximity chat in Bedrock. Like, it's easy in Java. There's a mod for it. Bedrock proximity chat. It did. Yeah. The answer is there is no proximity chat for Bedrock. I feel like they should add it. A lot of multiplayer games have proximity chat at this point. Bedrock Java crossplay? Wait, look at this. Geyser MC. Enable clients from Minecraft Bedrock Edition to join your Minecraft Java server. Geyser acts as a translator, which sits between the Bedrock client and the Java server. Hmm. Interesting. We may have a Jack Draws Games Minecraft server on our hands if I can make this work. Geyser Fabric and Geyser Neoforge run only on 1.21 1.28 server. Yeah, you can add mods to a realm if you're on PC. But it looks like this might work. Am I gonna have to learn Java Redstone? It's not that different. It's actually easier in some ways. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I need to fill up this whole thing. There we go. Firework crossbows. I don't know. We might be able to do this. I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna do a little research. And we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if I can get it running. If we do go for a Java server 2, maybe a good idea. If we decide to have kingdoms on that server too, might I propose the Origins mod? So, Geyser works with server-side mods only. Is Origins server-side? Yeah. So Origins is server and client. So if we were gonna have any mods, they would have to be server-side only. Depressed. I'm so sorry about your firework related depression. Okay, let's go. Yeah, because you can't add mods to Bedrock. I mean, the only reason to not run a full Java server is we have some players who can only play on console. And I tried a controller mod a while ago, and Moxie tested it for me, and she said that it kind of sucked, so it was not working. Okay. Let's put a chest for materials in front of this here. And then we'll put everything we need in there. Including all of these minecarts that don't stack. That feels better. Definitely a controller/console fan. Yeah. Yeah. And you're not the only one. There is a way to run Java on Steam Deck. And then through Steam, you can sort of like reconfigure all of the controls to be probably similar to Bedrock. But yeah, it's not gonna be the same. Where's my spruce sapling? I'm just gonna go topside and grow these spruce saplings. I'll play around with my Steam settings, see if launching MC from there will let me keep my controller. That's what I have heard, is that if you route Minecraft through through Steam, there's a way to do that. I have not tested it myself, but I have heard that it works. There are also several controller mods, and I'm sure maybe one of them works at this point. That was a few years ago that we tried to do that, so. I don't know, maybe it works now. Maybe it doesn't. Alright, where do I want to do this? I don't want to, like, disrupt anything, so maybe down here. Because I need enough space, but... yeah. I was gonna do one tree at a time, I think. It's gonna be slower, but... I don't mind. I have launched Minecraft through Steam before. I've not played around with the controller much. Yeah, apparently there's a way to... Apparently there's a way to do it so that you can remap the controller. Tried using the Steam controller, that thing is weird. That might be... yeah. I was thinking about, making the boardwalk at spawn. Then we could set up the kiosks like Jack already did. That sounds great. Oh yeah, vein miner. That's fine. Moving it's not a big deal. I just put it somewhere. Will it grow here? I will! Yay! Yeah. Like Pier 39, but Minecraft. That may be a reference that only people from California understand. That might be too close to the bamboo. Or the Santa Cruz Beach Boy. One time my dad and I tried to go to the... we tried to go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Oh, you know what? How do I set up... um... okay, I need... why is Mix It Up cover? uh... did they say that they're removing song requests? Mm. Mm. I thought I could do a thing where you guys could request YouTube videos. Maybe keeping the cabana its own spot and maybe fleshing it out a little bit, turning the nether portal into a big tiki head. Oh, that's cool! No more need for the barrels. We could turn it into an actual cute spot with tables and stuff. Yeah! I should be serving drinks! Like potions. Let's chat. If I make a Create new channel point. If I I do this, and then I edit. Where is it? Video. There we go. And then I add. Chat message? No. Overlay. Sorry, I'm getting totally distracted here, but like, this might be really cool. How to have chat with videos on your stream. No. Song request. This is not. Yay! Potions. You can order drinks. Name them silly things. Hmm. Okay, I'll figure this out later. It would be cool, but I don't think I can get it to work right now. We do have since Black and Luke are here now, I will also remind that I have random karaoke. So if I'm in a dangerous situation and you want to trip me up, or you just want to hear me sing random songs, you can do that with channel points. It's on the expensive side because I didn't want it to happen too much, and I know that some of you have been hoarding points. Name them after Papa's Freezeria drinks. Excellent. That's a fantastic idea. I love that. You guys know I love Papa's Freezeria. It's a great game. I haven't been hoarding points. I have but a mere 7,302. Definitely not hoarding any points over there. I was more talking about Bleck, who I'm sure has like over 20,000 at this point. Because I have about that much on their channel. And actually I think they've been watching my streams longer than they've been streaming, so Hey, Nemo or Tay, how are you doing today? I love that Animort has their own intro on my channel. I don't know why I do that every time. It's great. I think I ask everyone how they're doing, but Animort has a special has a special intro. Just because it's so fun to say. Never mind my 24k. Yeah, okay. If Kenj has 24k, then Black definitely has more than that. 3.9. But yeah, so I know some of you could definitely do some harm. Curse the work. It's okay. We appreciate you being here, Animort. Gotta hoard the candies. Very important. Hoarding candy. Speaking of candy, oh, the shelves are filling up with Halloween. On a completely unrelated note, oh. I see. Worm time. What do you have? You have a lot of channel points. I was telling people about the random karaoke, and I was like, some of you have been hoarding channel points. I know that you can hurt me. And Kenj said he has 24k, so I know you must have a lot as well. 144k. Oh my god. What even is that? Black is gonna random karaoke every 10 minutes for sure. As soon as the cooldown goes off, they're like, have another. Start setting timers and shit. I personally usually like singing in specific contexts as much as I enjoy your singing. Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just joking around. I'm joking around. I do have so many points. I know you guys are waiting for me to be in a horde of zombies or something to to force me to sing. Posture check. Thank you, Kenj. After their own. Just cause you worm doesn't mean you can have bad posture. Thank you. I will have good posture. Man, first you guys turned me into a worm and then you hit me with things. Being abused on my own stream. Why would I do this to myself? Self-inflicted abuse. More fences. More fences! More! Actually, if I'm only doing one layer, I might not. I should make some fence gates, though. Fence gates. Cool. So... these are 3 by 3 because they go like this. But I didn't take into account that I can probably stack them like this. You're messing around with the create amount. Oh, that's fun. Create is complicated. Create confuses me. Okay, let me see. I could give them a little more space. Maybe. Oh my god. That sounds crazy. Create is Java only. And it's like the most complicated thing ever. I will never understand how Create works. Alright. Okay. So observer. Oh, I didn't grab observer. Redstone does. Let me just grab. Let me just grab everything. Oh, that's a dispenser. Observer. Observer goes. They added Tinker's Construct and RL Craft to Bedrock? I think I need more space. Because I need... no, because this needs to be... like that? Oops. 1, 2, 3. It needs to go 3 down. I went in with the same ambitions initially, and then I learned the sheer power I hold in Create. Yeah. Yeah, Create is crazy. ant on my arm. Okay. And I think that works. And then I need the chest. Chest like that. With a hopper. Oh, I need a redstone. There is a redstone there. Okay. With a hopper here. Rail Minecraft hopper. Minecart hopper. Minecart. Okay. And then dirt. And then I think I'm gonna make a trapdoor. Just gonna make another crafting table and put it here. And then trapdoor. Okay. Then a dispenser on top of that. And then we'll put the fences around it with a gate. Like that. And then I think we can put something here. No. Like that. So the path will be these trapdoors. So we'll have trapdoors in the middle. There. And then the sheep will be in here. So let's get a sheep. And some shears. We'll get a sheep and some shears. Alright, I'm back. I want to put a timer on those so that I go back to whatever model. But I don't know if I can go back to previous model. We'll find out. Okay, what am I doing? Shears. Shears, shears, shears. Oh, we take these shears and we go to over here. Put that there. And I need a wheat. Wheat. Alright. Give me that. Give me that wheat. Let me plant it. And then we go this away. And we get 1 sheep, please. No, can you guys not? Okay, yeah. Come on. 1 sheep. And we get 1 sheep. Do I want to do this in rainbow order? I'll re-dye the sheep. Whoops. Okay, I think that will keep the sheep from escaping. If I put the fences on the wall like that. Because I don't think he can hop up there. And then we wait for the sheep to... We wait for the grass to grow. And that should do it. But I think I have... I think I have made this hallway too big, and we'll only find out later. So let me just figure out how to replicate that. The dispenser is here. The observer is here. The observer needs to be... Is the observer facing the wrong direction? Okay, well, I hope that's facing the right direction. It was. And now I've fucked it up. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Just put it like that, and then we'll break the... yeah. Hey! God. Okay, hopefully when there's sheep in here, there won't be slimes. Because the slimes are kind of annoying. Oh wait, I need one more down. Yeah. Okay, so... do I have my villagers set up yet? I don't. Because I don't have any villagers. I don't have any villagers yet, and I don't have their stations set up. I can make this pretty later. I need everything to be accessible for now. So for now, we're just gonna mine this out. No, my villagers are gonna go in these little market stalls. Once I get them set up. But I need my wool farm first, so I'm doing this first. Why? Mulling over your trading hall issues? Ah. What are your... Maybe I can still help. What are your issues? I have an idea. I wanted to see what your experience has been. Ah. Well, I've done other villager things in the past. So maybe I can still be helpful. What's your idea?
Maybe I can still help.
Or maybe someone else in chat can help. I tried curing a new zombie villager to expand a little, and the newbie wasn't linking to a bed or workstation. Huh. And you have a free... Do you have a free bed? You have a free bed and workstation? Because there's only one villager per... If I remember correctly, there's only one villager per thing. In my hall, they're all linked to their beds. I can confirm. I'm just thinking maybe it's a bug. Split them from their workstation. Yeah, maybe. That sounds like a bug to me. I've never experienced anything like that. Like 100 blocks away from my hall, too. Weird. Oh, like in a village? Are you sure, because you were in a village, are you sure there was a free workstation? Um... I want to reset their stations to see if that fixes it. It might. Wait, did I do this wrong? Oh, no. I'm good. I know what I'm doing. Definitely know what I'm doing. Oop. Setting up a spot in my anthill. Gave them a station. Weird. Yeah, I have no idea what could be causing that. And hopefully I don't have something similar happen. Golems spawn outside their arena, and I have to play hide and seek. Oh no. That would suck. Observer here. Dispenser. Okay, so that should be another pen there. Oops. I need to move that. Just spitballing. Thanks for soundboarding with me. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I could think of anything that would cause that, and it's probably just a bug. Unfortunately. I think that'll look good as a path in here. I need a lot more trapdoors. Is it it is just about time for us to end. So I just gotta sit here and wait for this grass to grow, I guess. Tomorrow, I believe we will be playing Baldur's Gate 3. Just waiting on confirmation that all of our players will be ready. I believe we will be attempting to play Baldur's Gate. If something does come up, we'll probably just play more Minecraft. Because I've been really into it lately. But yeah. So that is all the time that I have for today, and I need to open my windows because it's like super warm in here. I was keeping them closed to keep the noise out, but yeah, it's a little spicy. So I will see all of you guys tomorrow for Baldur's Gate 3. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. And once again, mark your calendars. October 9th, there will be a birthday stream for me, okay? October 9th. You better be there. You better be there. Take the day off work or something. All of you people that have to work, you must drop everything, stop your money making, and worship me. That's not true. But I hope to see you guys in chat on that day specifically. It's in about a month. And I will continue to remind people as it pops into my brain because, you know, birthday. So thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.